I just want to say thank you so much for taking the time this morning and joining us. We are really encouraged that you're here, ready and willing to learn a little bit more about the PD portal and this reporting feature. I am Laura Greer. I'm the manager of PD Logistics. Katie Snow is our PD portal coordinator, and she is going to be walking us through reporting 2.0 today. I'm going to go ahead and pass the presenter rights over to Katie so she can start to share her screen. Katie, you have the presenter rights, and you are good to go.
Good morning, everybody. I hope you're doing well. All right. So what you see right now is a generic PD portal account. Yours might probably looks something similar. And before we start just digging into reporting, I wanted to give you a little bit of background information on kind of the process of the change. When I started with TCall in October of 2018, we were solely using custom reports. And for me, that was difficult because I thought it was kind of hard to maneuver. It wasn't as user-friendly. Well, around the same time, Reporting 2.0 was being beta tested and was essentially just released and became available. And so I kind of started dabbling in that, and I thought it was a little bit more friendly to use. And then since then, they've really made some improvements. In fact, they just released a couple of things in February that's made it even better. So we have been very excited to roll this new feature out to you guys. We are trying our best to make it as simple and user-friendly and easy for you. So I hope that you will enjoy it as much as we have, and that we use it in our own ways, of course. But if there are any other reports that I show you today that you think we could add to, we welcome that feedback. So I'm going to jump in here. Also, let me preface saying that if for whatever reason you don't have access to some of the tabs that I mentioned today, please let us know, and we can kind of dig into why and what's going on with that. We may not be able to fix it right on the spot, but we will do our best to see what's going on. Okay, give me just a second here. All right, so the first thing that you would want to do whenever you get into the PD portal is hover over reports. When you do that, you have a couple of options. You probably have 2 or 3, but standard reports, custom reports, and reporting 2.0 is what you're going to see. If for whatever reason you don't see reporting 2.0, just let us know and we can investigate. You'll still find this webinar helpful. All right, so you'll click on reporting 2.0, and yours will probably look just like this because you have not created reports yet in reporting 2.0. Now, if you click on the little side arrow under Shared with Me, you'll see a folder that says PD Coordinator Reports. And this is what we're calling the folder right now of all the reports that we've created for you. All right. Now, once you click on that folder, you'll notice it looks like there's 6 reports. There's not really 6, there's really 4. And I'll go over that here in a minute of why it looks like that, because we'll talk about each one. But first, I'm going to focus at the 2 at the bottom, available online curricula and available face-to-face training. These are the 2 I want to dive in first, just because they're very helpful, and then we'll talk about the others. So first, we'll look at available face-to-face training. So these are a list of face-to-face training that's available for the program year. So if you're wanting to facilitate a conference in your area and you're not sure what trainings you want to provide, this is a fantastic resource for you to go and look at. It is updated as we add new trainings, but it's a great resource, especially if you're not familiar with what we have available. And then it also points out or has a PD category and also PD hours. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the face-to-face training. And let's pull up the information here. All right, so you can see that I have 159 records. I'm able to maneuver the column around just by clicking on these lines here and moving around. So let's say that you have a training that you're wanting to have at your program and you need 3 hours to fill. Well, you can look at all the ones with 3 hours and see what's available. You can also search by PD category, which I feel is really helpful. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how to open this report in Excel. So that way you can manipulate it with the data that you need. So if you notice up in the upper right-hand corner where it says refresh, you don't have to do anything. As soon as you open the report, it automatically pulls the new data, okay? So right next there's a download icon. You click there and then click Excel. Yes, you have a couple of options, but I highly recommend Excel just because you can manipulate the data to how you want it. So I'm going to wait for a second for it to download. It can take a little bit, especially if you have a lot of information downloading. All right, so now I'm finally going to open up that Excel document. And then you can manipulate this however you want. If you want, I always delete this jumble at the top. So I'm just manipulating the columns to make them a little bit bigger. It's the same information that you have in the reporting section that we just looked at. So one thing I want to do, if I just click on top of column B and then go to the ribbon where it says sort and filter and click on filter, I'm able to just sort and I'm able to see the different PD categories because I know this is really important when you're wanting to have a training for your staff. You know, what do you want to have? If you scroll through, you have different hours for literacy instruction. You have some for other, PAL learning here. And then also you have some that are principles of adult learning and literacy instruction. And so those are, those have more than one. So you have a couple of options here, which is really nice to have. Okay, so here, then you can go ahead and save the report, send it out to people or whatever you need to do. I'm going to go ahead and close it out. But it looks like we did have a comment in the chat. Let me see. Tiffany said you can sort within the report. All right, so you can, yes, absolutely. And in that, you'll have to refresh in that case. And it might take a second, but that's a great observation. Just know that every time you pull the report, every time you pull the report, it's going to have different data. So I just organized the report to our PD category, so you can see how it manipulated here as well. So you can do that. Just note that we are constantly updating our trainings, and so what you pull this month might be different than what we have available in 2 months. So just keep that in mind. So different ways to do that. Let's look at the other report. So I'm going right up at the top and clicking on Reporting 2.0 to get us back to where we were. And now I'm looking at available online curricula. All right, let's see. All right, so the online curricula is specific to online courses. So these are online trainings that we offer within the PD portal. And this is always changing. Laura and I are constantly publishing new curricula. So I would say probably changes every week. every 2 weeks at least. So keep that in mind. So when I click on online curricula, it's going to take us to the report. Let me point something out here. You have the title, and then you also have the description. That way, if you forget what report you're in, you can kind of take a look here. All right, so the same thing, you can move this around and open up however you like. And you can look and see what we have online. So if you're wanting to assign training to staff online, and they can do from their office, from home, whatever it might be, this is the way to go. And you can see what's available. Again, at times we have to remove things from the PD portal just because if they become dated or if there's technical glitches. We've got to make sure that it's as user-friendly as possible. So just keep in mind that sometimes this does change. So it's a really important resource for you to look at before you start assigning training to your whole staff. So how you would do that, well, let me show you how to do this one as well. So just like what Tiffany said earlier, you can manipulate it and then refresh. You'll notice again that I'm going by PD category. I find this to be super helpful. And it didn't do that one for me.
Katie, I'm going to jump in real quick. Tiffany, so there is so much to the PD portal and to these reports. Tiffany wasn't even actually talking about the same thing I was talking about. Katie, if you click on, go to the top right corner, where down to the left, that one, report properties. If you click on that, you can, you should have the ability over there to identify a column you want it to sort by, and then you would click refresh and it will sort it for you. So 2 different ways to accomplish the same thing. And Tiffany, thank you for your observation and for sharing that with us. Because of how we work with the reports and work with the portal, and that one just went right over our head, and we do it a different way. But that's a great observation that others might find preferable to the way that we do it. So again, thank you so much for sharing. And Katie, back to you.
Yes, awesome. Like Laura mentioned, there's so many different ways and avenues to move around the portal. All right, so I've just sorted in the portal for our training PD categories. And what I was saying earlier is that this is such a great way, because we know that your staff have to have X number of training for LIT or PAL. And so this is one way that you can encourage them by assigning these certain ones in the portal. Okay, so let me go back and get into our other reports. So as you noticed, we opened these 2 up first, and when we do that, they kind of go back to the top of the list, and that's going to be, that's how you know which ones you opened up recently. Now, I'm going to look at Active User Report. Active User Report is the report that I usually, it's a very similar report that I use when I pull information for programs and send out quarterly to see who's active in the PD portal. Specifically just making sure that we are deactivating anyone that's no longer needed, so we can save those seats for new employees and anyone that needs access to our training. Now, you'll notice there's 2, large consortium and AEL grantee. So in our webinar today, we have people from both kinds of programs, so it's really important for me to touch on both of them. So when you hear me say large consortium, I am talking specifically to those involved in HGAC, Dallas County, Tarrant County, and Region 20. Those are our really large ones. Not meaning that your program isn't large. Those are the ones that we have to do a lot of extra back-end work in the portal to make sure they function properly. So we had to split up these kinds of reports just because the data pulls a little differently, and we want to make sure that you have the most accurate information. So I'm going to first focus on just the bottom one, the AEL grantee. So if you are a part of any program, with the exception of Dallas, Tarrant, Region 20, and HGAC, I'm going to show you this one first. So these are for our smaller programs, and it's just AEL grantees. So again, it kind of has a description of what you're looking for, and this is really what you're going to have to manipulate. So you're going to click on filter. Sometimes it auto shows up. Sometimes you have to click on it. And all you are is typing in, excuse me, your program. So I'm going to go ahead and X this out here. And let's say that I am part of, let's just pick Central Texas College, okay? Since I'm not a part of Central Texas College, if I click refresh, it will pull 0 records. And that is to protect programs' privacy and confidentiality. We only want programs pulling up their people, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and X this out. And if you notice, when I'm looking here, I can either scroll on the side, okay, or I can type, okay? I'm at the very bottom because my program, I'm for trained PD at TCAL. I'm pull up TCAL staff. So if I click this, okay, I'm going to go to the upper right-hand corner where it says refresh and refresh. It should take just a second to load. And then I'm going to have all of my information that I need here. Okay, so I've got user ID, which is important when we're looking at active user reports. First name, last name, email address in the case I need to contact someone. It has our approver, our manager, and our program. So these last couple of columns here, those are really for PD portal purposes. The approver manager may not be your title necessarily, but those are the titles that we use in giving you access to certain things in the portal. It's like your permissions and what you have access to. So it may not make a difference to you, but this would be a really great report to pull if you are trying to find who you have active right now in the PD portal. And if you want to stay on top of it, that's fantastic. So if you're trying to find someone's certificate of completion, you can't find it or find their name in your My Team. If you pull this report and they don't show up, it means that they're inactive. If that's the case, you would send an email to us. We would activate their account for you. You would refresh the report, and there they'd be. Okay, and then you'd have access to the information. That's just one way you could use this kind of a report. All right, and again, you could pull down and put it in Excel, however you want to do it. And again, this changes as well as you have people create accounts and as you have people who are deactivated. So just keep in mind that you want to pull the latest data. Again, this is for our smaller groups. There's a little reminder that if you're our bigger programs, you need to use a different report. So now I'm going to go back and I'm going to show those of you that are in my large consortium how to do that. So large consortium, so now I'm focusing on HGAC, Dallas, Tarrant, and Region 20. Click on this report. And yours is done just a little bit differently. Again, just because of the size and all of the circumstances of our larger programs and the large number of people who need access to everything. All right, so again, I'm going to click on my filters. And as of right now, I have 0 records. So here you're just writing out okay, so this is subrecipient. So this doesn't mean anything necessarily to you, but this is the button that you would click. Selected org units, okay? It's a PD portal term. You would click on it. Now, in this field, you will have minimal access to who you can click on, okay? You should have your program. Well, my program that I have underneath this generic account is Train PD at TCAL. So that's what I'm going to click. But if you're HGAC Baker Ripley, you're going to click that or check that box, okay? Now, when I go to my selected at the top, this is me kind of just double checking that I have who I have in here. Well, here's HGAC Brazos-Port College. That's not me. Even if I was to leave this in here and press select and then refresh, it's not going to pull anything from HGAC Brazos-Port College in my report because I don't have those rights. Okay, they're not part of my program. So just keep that in mind. If that's what happens, that's okay. It should not pull other data. However, knowing me, I like to go in and just click the X, make sure I have the right ones in here, and click at the bottom, Select. Select is essentially your Save button. All right, so once I do that, you'll see the option of refreshing. I'm going to go ahead and do that. And in just a second, we will have some information pulled up for you. All right, so here we go again. All right, this is the same report that pulled earlier, except this is for our larger program. And it has the same information here, same columns. You can download it the same way. Okay? It's just getting the filters for your program. That's the only thing that really changes is what you input and how you input it. All right, going right back. We have one more report to look at. So again, it looks like two, but we separated the large and the smaller programs. So this transcript report, if you forget everything from today, I hope that you'll remember at least this one. This will make your life as someone who has access and has team members or staff that you help supervise, this will make your life a little bit easier, especially as the end of the program year ends, spring is rolling around. So your transcript report specifically is a list of professional development completed by staff for the program year. So once I pull this report today, it's going to be from the completed PD as of 2/26/2020 all the way from the beginning of July. Okay, and so this will be helpful for you. And there's a couple of new features that we've just added this week, which will be very, very cool and will save you a lot of time. First, let's look at our smaller programs. It's just the AEL grantee. So again, if you're part of our larger consortium, kind of tune me out for a second. I will click on AEL grantee, and then it kind of gives me a little bit more information here. Now, I need to go back to my filters. If it says filter down arrow, I just clicked on it. So again, if I was part of Austin Community College, I could just click refresh. I'm not, so I'm going to go in and find the one I am a part of. And then all of a sudden, my refresh button is ready for me. I'm going to click refresh, and I'm going to have some really good information that pops up. Sometimes it likes to take a little bit longer. Still thinking. I'm going to refresh my page here. Okay, so I'm going to type in that grantee again. Since I refreshed, let's see if it'll pull up a little quicker this time. There we go. Okay, so we have our records, and again, it has our full name, okay? And the number right next to the name is just the number of trainings that's been completed. Again, you have your full name, training title, so you can see what training was completed. We have PD category, which is helpful, so you know how many hours were completed in that specific PD category. And my favorite, which is also a new addition, is the sum PD hours. All right, so for this training it was 4 hours, for this training was 6 hours, for this one it was 3, all the way. That top number, which is 24 that I'm circling as using as the example, is the total number of hours that Paula has accumulated from today, or from July 1st until today. So that should make your lives so much easier. That way you don't have to do any math, subtraction, all that good stuff, addition, and you have that number right in front of you, okay? Super helpful. We were very excited about adding this feature earlier this week. The other thing that's neat that you have here is our training type. So if it's a session, that means it's going to be it'll be a live webinar like we're now, or it'll be a face-to-face session. Curriculum is an online training. And then you have date of completion. So you can see exactly the date and even the time of completion, which is also very helpful. All right, so let's scroll down and let's look at this next one. Same thing. You have the name, training, title, category, and then up here at the top, you have the sum PD hours, the training type, and the date and time of completion. So all of this information, I hope, will definitely help you. Again, just keep in mind the report you pull today, like if you were to download it in Excel and save it, is going to be different than, let's say, next week as people start getting their PD completed. And it will definitely start changing from day to day as the spring ends. Okay, so let me go back and show anyone who is a part of our large consortium. So this is referring to Tarrant, Dallas, Region 20, and HGAC. You do the same thing. I'm going to click on filters here. So subrecipient is one of, I'm going to let it kind of click on select org units. And again, you would click on your program, check the box. I'm Terrain PD. I'm going to go to the top selected and see, well, I'm not part of Dallas County. I'm going to go ahead and put an X there. All right, this is good. I'm going to click select, which is my save. And then at the upper right-hand corner, refresh. And let's see what happens. All right, our data pulls up. And if you notice, it's the same look from earlier. All right, just moving these columns around a bit. And again, if there's a different way you want to sort, we found our trick right here in the report properties that you can use, or you can download to Excel and manipulate it that way. So again, has the same information that we saw earlier and how it's put together and how it's organized. So let's look here at Wayne, he has his name, the PD category, training titles. These were all sessions, number of hours. So if you look right next to Wayne's name on this row, he has 27.75 hours. All right. So hopefully you'll find this helpful. This, I think, will be especially helpful with our larger programs too, when you have, 300, 400 staff that you're looking through. All right, I'm going to go back to reporting. So this is really, this is what I have so far to share with you. And what I mentioned earlier before we began is how Laura and I do things on the portal is different than how you might use information on your end. So if you think that there's a report that might be helpful for other PD coordinators or managers out there, let us know. We'll be happy to put something together and add it to the list of reports that we have here. But these are just reports that we felt that we could pinpoint right away that would be helpful for you. So we are definitely open to feedback. If you have any suggestions, you can just email us directly, and I'll put my information and Laura's information here in the chat pod. And so you have that. Let me see here. Laura, do you have any other questions or comments that you want to review before I kind of go over the last part?
Yeah, two comments that have come into the chat pod that I just wanted to go ahead and share out with everyone. Yoli did ask if any of these reports can filter for whether it was a Tier 1 or Tier 2 training. And I don't know that that is reportable data in the PD portal, but that's something that I'll look into. So I know that would be useful for her if that's something that kind of perks anyone else's interest. Send me an email and I'll keep you informed about what we figure out with that. And then the other question Tiffany had asked, she was confirming the transcript report is for the current program year. And that is correct. So right now we have the filter set for July 1st, 2019 to June 30th, 2020. And once we hit July 1st, 2020, we will go in and we will reset the filter on that. So when you pull it beginning of July or August or sometime next fall and start utilizing that report, those filters will have already been updated for the 2021 program year. So again, yes, The filters are set on the transcript report so that they are only pulling data for this program year that we're currently in. Great questions and comments. Thanks, everyone. I'm going to pass it back over to Katie, and she's got one more resource to share.
Thanks, Laura. Yes, I have one more very important resource to share, and it really kind of goes over everything that I've just gone over. That way, if you're like me and you are visual or you need it step-by-step, we have these resources available to you. So let me show you. I'm going to click on another window. And Laura just put the page in the chat box. But I went ahead and created a Wakelet a few months ago just because with the amount of people that we have that need access to my team, reporting, admin tab, I felt it was important for us to provide some kind of a resource or even like a tutorial, something that you could refer back to and print off, review, videos, something. So this is kind of what we came up with, and this is our PD Coordinator Portal resources. So anyone who has access to the admin tab, to my team tab, and to reporting tab, this is for you. It can be for new PD coordinators who are just stepping into this role. It can be for any kind of supervisor who has the access to these tabs. It can just be for when you need to look over this information. So anything on this page that's underlined in green is a link that you can click. All right. So we spent a lot of time putting together some instructional PDFs that walk you through every step of how to utilize and how to be successful in the portal, because we know it can be a little overwhelming, and especially if you're put into a new role where you have access to so much more, we want you to feel confident about those abilities. So I'm going to kind of scroll down here. The first one we have is running reports. So this just kind of talks about the different types of reports that you have access to. Then you can click on the tabs here or step-by-step directions. So I'm not going to go into custom reports, but there is one for custom reports. And I will add that as of July 1st, 2020, we are no longer going to be doing any kind of support on custom reports. We are completely moving over to reporting 2.0. And if you've ever used custom reports, I think that you will like reporting 2.0. It's very user-friendly, as you've seen. Now, all those steps that we just went over with our large programs and our smaller programs here, we have them split up on how to do what we just did. So let me go ahead and click on my reporting 2.0 small consortia. Sometimes this pulls up, sometimes it doesn't. For whatever reason, it gives me a hard time on webinars. Let me try the other one. Drives me crazy. It just doesn't pull up on webinars for some odd reason. But that's spending too much time. They're just a neat, organized document that shows you exactly what to do, everything we just went over, what filters to click on, what it might look like, and things like that. So I think it's a really great resource for you, especially if you need to kind of go back and review, or let's say that maybe you're working on a report over the weekend and you need to reference something. This is going to give you a quicker answer, than emailing us over the weekend. And so this is a great resource to look at. The other one is using admin for search accounts. If you were at our Taylor session, and I'm not sure if anyone was here, but Laura and I had a Taylor session a couple of weeks ago, and we went over how to use the admin tabs to search for accounts and look at their certificates of completion. And then we also spent time going over using My Team, which is really important because we always encourage you to assign the curricula online courses in the PD portal using the My Team tab. And then it goes to the next topic here, assign training to staff. So we also encourage you guys to assign live training like this webinar or face-to-face by using the events calendar. We have those split up because errors can be made, and they can be made frequently if we don't kind of go this avenue. It just prevents you guys from making these errors that can kind of be frustrating for your staff if you're assigned the wrong training or whatever. So we thought that this would be a great resource for you to have. And then we kind of just go over specific information on who to contact when you have certain kinds of questions. And of course, if you ever want more want to leave us suggestions for things that we can include on this page, we are all for it. You just would take that little Google form. Other than that, this is supposed to be specifically informative for you guys. Please save this link and use it as you need to. If you have other questions, please reach out. We are all open for suggestions and improvements and everything. So I'm going to leave you with that. That's all I have. And I don't think there's anything else. Oh, Tiffany says that she likes the Wakelet. Yes, thank you. Let me pass it back to Laura, and then we'll close out.
All right, guys. The one thing I wanted to add to what Katie, everything that Katie shared with you guys today, and she might have referenced it, but so far we've created reports and shared them with you that you guys have had access to in previous program years, but also that we thought would be useful for PD coordinators and PD portal supervisors. That being said, if these reports aren't quite working for you, and it would really be helpful if they pulled a little bit differently, or if there's something else PD portal related where a report would be super useful to you, just get in contact with us. It's Katie usually says this, but I personally, I love digging into reporting and trying to figure out how to pull the data out of the PD portal, because there's so much data in there. So I really love kind of playing with reporting and figuring out how to make it work for us. So if there's something that you need reporting-wise in the portal, and you would like some help with creating that report, please reach out to us. We are more than willing to run with it and create a report that's going to be useful to you, because ultimately that's really what this tool is intended to be, is something that will be useful and helpful to you guys. So all of that being said, I think we are all done for today, so I will close us out. Again, thank you so much for taking 45 minutes out of your day and for your willingness to learn more about the portal and more about reporting. Katie and I are here if we can help with anything. Otherwise, y'all have a fantastic day, and we will talk to you soon. Thanks so much for joining us.